Oh, I absolutely believe that human activity is affecting the climate in a negative way.
I absolutely believe human activity is also altering the climate negatively.
To believe that these record temperatures that we're seeing have nothing to do with human behavior is just pure ignorance.
Unfortunately, yes, I do. The thing is, we've known about this for a long time, at least since Carter was president, and we haven't done much about it.
I mean, it ultimately is our fault, right? I mean, we as human beings, from the individual singular level all the way through to corporations, to governments, to people making the rules, people buying products. I mean, I think that everything we do is clearly having a major impact, and it's shocking.
The paradigm of the seasons has shifted. Spring starts later, summer starts later, fall goes way into where winter used to begin.
It's so strange. I just saw in my Facebook timeline those memories that come up and you're like, oh, I said that 5 years ago. And I made mention about how cold it was. It was like below 10. And I said something funny like, oh, today's canceled. And I don't remember a day below 10 degrees in New York City in so long. And I remember moving to New York City and experiencing like crazy snowstorms where schools were canceled, work was canceled. None of that happens any longer.
There's always been fluctuations historically in the climate. There's various small ice ages that are historically posited. But we're watching now is just huge shifts. The polar ice caps melting, the water levels rising. You could see it just every year. It's more and more.
I travel a lot, and I've done a lot of traveling in Southeast Asia and Northern Africa, and what I'll see in these areas where it's mostly tourists going, mostly Western tourists going, is plastic everywhere, single-use plastics, and it's disgusting. There's a beach that I was on in Bali, and it was like, I see more wasted plastic than sand. And knowing what it takes to produce this plastic in the first place, and then what it's breaking down into when it finally does break down, it's just undeniable that we're really fucking things up.
I mean, I just read that the Arctic reached 65 degrees. That's horrifying to me. And the fact that we live in New York, the sea level is going to rise by 10 feet, God knows when, we're screwed.
I think a lot of people are definitely aware of it now. I just think people need to start practicing more. We just need to keep reminding everyone what to do, especially now New York banned all plastic bags, which is a big thing. So
if you're to look at our lifestyle, pollution with emissions from cars, with animal agriculture, like these are things that people live their life by, more so than it has been in, previous years. There's very little regard for the consequences of our actions.
The fact that we've been having huge, humongous storms, hurricanes and tornadoes is more indication of it. I mean, the military certainly hasn't been ignoring it until the current administration. They've been trying to deal with it because they know it exists. Now, if the military knows it exists and the scientists know it exists, the only people who refuse to accept that it exists are the evangelicals who are hoping that there's the rapture and they're all going to be taken up and God's going to just welcome them back into the heavens and all is going to be well. And the other people are the corporations who, of course, don't want to spend the money to deal with it.
We're making it a political issue when it's not a political issue. It's an environment issue. It's a people issue. The science is there to tell us that, yes, there's climate change and it's not just, there's a certain amount that happens in the world in anyway, but it's definitely being affected by people and our consumption of oil and other natural resources that just aren't going to sustain us.
Even in this current administration with Trump, we just had rollbacks to EPA standards to, where chemical companies can poison our waters. What are the other things that he'll roll back now that he has just been acquitted and given, basically a permission slip to do whatever the hell he wants, to say, hey, we got your back. As long as we control the House as Republicans, you can do whatever you want, sir.
And it's really frustrating to me that people that money is truly driving decisions, but ultimately people drive money.
And it stems from greed. People are worried that they're not going to be able to make their oil money. They're worried that they're not going to be able to make their, to be able to pollute the air to cash a check. So they'll deny it completely without any regard of any of us.
When they do things to make their product cheaper, coal industry companies and these energy companies who have no regard for our climate or for the environment, they do it and they don't necessarily realize the effects that will take place 30 years from now.
How many corporations have gone out of business when they've been told that they've got to clean up Love Canal or Greenpoint, where they've polluted all the waterways, and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to have to deal with the garbage that they're creating. And so since they own the government, they're not dealing with it. Oh, it doesn't exist. It's the three monkeys. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
I think things can change in the future, but it would take some catastrophe. Like, it would take some major event for people to wake up. Unless there's immediate change, I feel people think, so what? Like, it's not affecting my life now, so why should I care about it?
I work in the fashion industry, and on set, what I love now is that everyone's saying to bring their own water bottles, no plastic cups on set. So even being aware of that is, it's very good to see that.
And so we need to start talking about conservation and not just how do we keep consuming at the rate we've been consuming. We need to stop doing that and really think about what kind of future we're leaving for those that will be here after us.
Way more than they've given for healthcare. Billions?
Gotta be in, the billions.
$2 billion?
Trillions.
It's got to be in the trillions.
I have absolutely no idea, but even $1 is too much.
I can't even give an actual figure, but I feel it's an astronomical figure.
Some $1 billion.
$16.8 trillion and counting. What the heck?
When it says and counting, are we still bailing these motherfuckers out?
That's horrifying. I don't even want to talk about that. That's just so anger-inducing.
This is insane. This is very much insane.
It's horrible. I definitely don't think we should keep putting money into Wall Street. The 99% needs more of it.
That's even crazier than I thought it was going to be. Wow. It's hard to look at.
It's disgusting, especially because student loan debt is not even that much, I don't think. And they're like, no, we can't help them. But they'll bail out banks. That whole too big to fail idea is complete nonsense.
That 16.8 trillion is of yours and my dime, of taxpayer dime. So when we say to ourselves, oh my gosh, we can't afford this, how are we going to pay for how are we going to pay for Medicare for all? How are we going to pay for free public tuition at public state colleges? How did we pay for this? Didn't we just make up money? It's monopoly money, right?
I wish there was a way that our tax dollars could be assigned to what we believe in. And I don't necessarily want as much of my money funding maybe the military, because that ultimately is a business that is funding the billionaires and millionaires.
To think that, Wall Street, these are the guys that you look at and you're like, they figured money out. They've got it good. They know what's going on.
There's so much more better things that we can do with this kind of money instead of bailing corrupt people out just for them to do more corruption, fix our infrastructure, give us more housing.
We need to put money in low-income neighborhoods, education, Medicare for all.
There's college education, there's public education. We don't have to be privatizing prisons or the post office. And all these places where all these people who support Trump, all of these red states are losing hospitals because They refuse to upgrade Medicaid or pay into Medicaid.
Hell, Flint, Michigan needs something like $100 million to just get clean drinking water, but they yet still don't have it. But we can bail out banks at this much? Come on, you're kidding me.
I have ridiculous amounts of student loan debt that just fuck with me all the fucking time. I really have changed every day of my life because of how my debt impacts me. And there's so many of us doing that. There's so many people in my generation, and it's just really fucked up. Yeah.